Good morning. Oh, I debated with myself this morning when I woke up, realizing that it was only about 2.5 hours since I laid down to go to sleep. Uh, However, the title and the thoughts for today's video came to me pretty strongly, even before my feet hit the floor. And so when I finally came to the computer, that was what I typed in, and I'm going to go ahead and do the video at 4:44 a.m. again. Again, 4:44 is Grounding Master Energy on Earth. The title that I've selected, or maybe it was selected for me, is Our Creator's Conspiracy Trumps the Illuminati's. The Illuminati did not want people to know about conspiracies, which is why in the mainstream media, the term conspiracy theory is a pejorative term. What they really don't want people to know, however, is even bigger. What if they have hidden occult knowledge that they are but pawns in a much larger conspiracy, the Creator's conspiracy to bless all the people of the world? Of course, no one wants to see themselves as a pawn. We all like to think of ourselves as having free will and the ability to control the experiences in our lives. As I see it in this moment, even our free will is subject to our destiny, which is a higher level of conspiracy that even the so-called elites behind the curtains plans to dominate the world plan to dominate the world. The awakening of the human population, to me, is proof that a higher plan is being worked out on Earth at this time. Believe it or don't. But I would rather be a realistic optimist than a nihilistic pessimist. Maybe I'm just wired that way. Maybe a lot of us are. I think I'm going to start by, I wasn't sure exactly where I was going to put this in, but start by reading a private email that I received yesterday. I'm not going to indicate the name of the individual who sent it to me, although I did share it on Facebook yesterday with the article that she refers to. She wrote, "I didn't fall asleep, so I started reading your online articles. I am almost through with one that jumped out at me immediately. I am the way, the truth, the life." Yes, this is what I have been struggling with since I was a little girl. Yes, this is what I needed to read, too. I was brought up and still am Church of Christ. I've been teaching kids Sunday Bible class for the past 9 years. I love God and enjoy the love for and of the congregation. I was awakening as a little girl. When I'd tell my mother my ideas, she'd get very upset. She laughed when I told her there shouldn't be money in the world. She freaked when I insisted it was ridiculous that God sent his only begotten Son to earth to save us, when he could send tons of Jesuses if he wanted to, because I felt we were all his children. She was scared that I felt angry with God for making a life where people were subjected to sin and were only made to worship and obey God for his glory. I felt like it was incredibly unfair of God to put us in that situation. I'm going to stop reading her letter right there. As I was meditating this morning on the idea of the Creator's conspiracy, I realized that in our documents, I mean, we all like to look at how bad things are. We've all been made aware of all the conspiracies to poison our air, poison our water, poison our food, poison the land, poison our minds, to control us in every way imaginable. that the internet was created as a spying device, that Facebook is run by the CIA, that the UN is a horrific new world order plan to control the world with Agenda 21 and all sorts of other things. We all have been made aware, and many would like everybody to know the truth about the conspiracies behind the scenes. And anybody that doesn't think there's conspiracies is nuts. There's always been conspiracies. Powerful, rich and powerful people and powerful beings have always conspired to fulfill a certain plan. Many have felt that that was their destiny, to fulfill the plan. But let me ask you a question. Why, if it was the Illuminati that created the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution with the Bill of Rights, why, if these were Masons and part of a grand conspiracy, did they put in that we are created equal and endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, property, was the original term, and the pursuit of happiness, changed from property? Why, if the UN is such a nefarious organization, if it's so demonic and horrible, why did they adopt early on from the beginning the Universal Declaration of Human Rights? Why did they do that? Why did, even in the Uniform Commercial Code, why is it, even in that code, the statutory law, if you will, of conducting commerce on the planet, why did they put in parts that would be diametrically opposed to what they seem to be wanting to do? That is, to control the whole world, to dominate everybody. Why? Why would they put those things in there if they were so smart? Well, could it be, as I said in the blurb, that they have been filled with knowledge, hidden or occult knowledge, that there was a master plan being worked out here? It was the plan of that Creator that made us all equal. And what if this little girl's idea that, why would God send only one only begotten son? Why wouldn't he make all of his children his begotten sons and daughters, and empower each of us with the knowledge of the truth that we are equal, that we can do the same things that Jesus did? Of course, our religions have been twisted and turned like everything else in our culture, so that it would basically capitalize on our ignorance of who we are, knowing that we had forgotten. What if the Illuminati's plan all along has been to bless the earth? Now, I'm not so naive as to think that a psychopathic mind can have a benevolent purpose. I'm not so naive as to believe that. But I do believe, just as most of us that are basically benevolent beings, we really want good for people, and yet we tend to do bad things, like the Apostle Paul in Romans 7. That which I would, I do not, and that which I would not, that I do. What if everything that's inside out and upside down is all part of a creative plan, a master plan to bless the world? What if all things truly do work together for our good, as it says in Romans 8:28, which my mother used to write at the end of all of her letters to me when I was in Uncle Sam's army? What if everything is part of this higher plan, including the Illuminati's plan to create so much negative shit, that we would wake up and say, hey, wait a minute, what's going on here? This doesn't seem right to me. Because we're all wired to want good. We're all wired to want a world that works. We're all wired to be compassionate. And in order for people to do the things that the Illuminati has done, in order for them to do that, they'd have to have their consciences seared. They'd have to have a part of themselves really dulled down and be so so deceived that they'd actually think that they were the boss, just like we each do in our own ego. The ego that wants to see itself as separate and doesn't want to look at itself as a mere pawn in a higher plan. But there is a higher plan, I believe. I believe. Do I know it? Sometimes I feel like I do know it. Sometimes I don't. When I have doubts, I wonder. There's times I don't have doubts, that I don't wonder at all. I simply know that there is a higher plan. I've known all of my life that whatever we call the Creator, I referred to it as God, had his hand on my life. And I say his because that's the culture that I grew up in, that I was trained in. Some would say that I was brainwashed in. But is it brainwashing? Or is it the nugget of truth that's hidden in everything that seems so dark and ominous to us now as we awaken? Is it merely the light that is hidden in that darkness, just like the dark side of the yin-yang symbol? That little flame that is eternal, that burns in each one of us, even the Illuminati, who have been, shall we say, conspired against, that in all of their negative BS that they've heaped upon the world, there's always been a plan to unheap it and to liberate the human spirit, the human soul, liberate our minds and our hearts. We see it when tragedy strikes. We see how people just naturally want to help each other. Oh, I know, you see some of the other stuff too, of the looting and stuff like that, and some of the hurricanes and natural disasters, so-called natural disasters. Are they natural? Who knows? Who knows? Anyway, as I was meditating on this, I realized there is a conspiracy, and it's a good one. It's a conspiracy to give us the kingdom of heaven on earth. It's a conspiracy by our Creator to wipe away all the tears from our eyes. It's a conspiracy of the Creator to let us all awaken and remember that we are children of one God, that we are all of one faith, that we are all interwoven and interconnected in a singular web of life. This is the law of one, the law that shall ultimately be known by everyone, that we cannot do to another without being harmed ourselves or blessed ourselves, depending on our intent. Is our intent to wound and injure, or is our intent to liberate and bless and heal? Right now, I sense in me, and I sense it in a lot of my brothers and sisters, there is a strong desire to heal the planet, to heal the elements of nature, to heal our waters, to heal ourselves, to stop the abuse of animals, to stop the abuse of all sorts of things that we witness day by day and that we're becoming aware of more and more. There's a master plan happening here, and it was embedded in the very documents of the Illuminati that they created and left to each of us As we awaken, we know that there are universal rights, and that declaration is in the United Nations. And even the United States, which is the largest terrorist nation that's ever existed, and the most powerful terrorist nation that ever existed, even in our founding documents, were nuggets of truth that ultimately, when we know those truths, we are set free. This is the Creator's conspiracy that trumps that of the dark Illuminati that has played around with occult hidden knowledge for a long time, and now we're all knowing the truth. We are all becoming Gnostics. Even agnostics are seeing the light. Thank you for listening. Have a wonderful day, and namaste.